Hi Peaches, it's Shaaba. Welcome back to my channel and thank you for clicking on another video. I don't know why we're doing this one today. Look, it's been a while. It's been a long ass time since we have looked at Bad Women's Anatomy. I feel like I've had time to recover. I feel like I've had time to prepare. Am I looking forward to it? Questionable. I will say that our last deep dive into Bad Women's Anatomy wasn't as bad as I expected it to be, if I'm thinking about the right thing. There have been times that this Reddit has broken us, but oh no sir, not today. No ma'am. Not today. Grab a cuppa, let's dive deep into Bad Women's Anatomy. As always, a little disclaimer with Bad Women's Anatomy, not everything spoken about is always a woman's experience, and not all women's experiences are the same. Let's keep that in mind. We are an inclusive, safe space here, and we're gonna keep it that way, and if you don't agree, then off you pop, babe. She says tentatively, starting the forum. Boop. Oh, we have a text thread. Is this Threads? Are we liking Threads? I'm really enjoying Threads at the moment. I have to say, it's been a lot of fun. I don't really have a purpose on Threads. I'm just stuck. Anyway, what? I'm a woman and no, I don't shave my face. ... Heart. Okay, good for you. Somebody responded, just because you don't doesn't mean others don't? Oh, and Green Beard Man says, well, that's weird. Women shouldn't grow facial hair. You know what? This doesn't faze me. This doesn't faze me a little bit. We've seen significantly worse here on Bad Women's Anatomy. On a scale of good feminism, Derek, to get in the bin, Derek, I feel like this is... I'm not going to say neutral, it's maybe closer to get in the bin, but I feel like this is more ignorance than it is malicious negativity towards women. Do you know what I mean? And to be fair, we absolutely should be listening to Green Beard Man. He clearly knows what he's talking about when he discusses facial hair. Not that I expect anybody to need to hear this, but women absolutely grow facial hair. In fact, it's one of the reasons that I love calling our little community peaches, because we have cute little peach fuzz. Everybody has peach fuzz, no matter your gender. Isn't it so beautiful? I actually really love my peach fuzz, I'm not gonna lie. Like, do I sit here and go hee 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 to calm myself? No, but I should. It's really fun. Peach fuzz is great. The hair on my chinny chin chin is less great. For me, I don't personally like it. My combination of PCOS and being Asian, South Asian, oh my god, the beard hair can sometimes be very real, and I've gone to great lengths to try and manage it because ADHD, spicy brain Shaaba hyperfixates sometimes, and it's like, must get every single thing that I feel, and then I end up feeling like a pickle in my face. It's not very good for my skin or for my mind. I made a video a little while back where I lasered this all off, not my chin, oh my goodness, but the hairs. Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better for it. Female empowerment is about choice. You do what you want with your facial hair, but just know that women absolutely should and do grow it. Question for boob enjoyers. I'm listening. Hello, I'm currently figuring out my sexuality. Congratulations, enjoy your exploration phase. I'm male and I have a question about boobs. Do people actually like them? Like, do you see a boob and think that's hot? Or you want to touch it or something? I don't really understand the appeal for them, and I'm wondering if this is something everybody thinks and that's just a thing about boobs, or if people actually find them hot. Sorry if this is worded badly. I don't think this is worded badly. I get what you're saying. I like boobs. I don't know what to tell you. I think boobs are really fun. I love having them. I feel bad for people who don't have them. That could come across in ways that I didn't mean it. I like my boobs. I like playing with boobs. And with my Mama Shaaba hat on, I feel the need to point out two things. Number one, boobs are not inherently sexual. So like, it's okay to enjoy them and to like them and whatever, or to not. Like, you do you, babe. But let's also remember that they are first and foremost a functional part of our body. And number two, whether you like boobs or don't like boobs does not determine your sexuality. It can obviously be like signs. Not liking boobs can often be a sign towards your sexuality, but it doesn't mean that you have to particularly like them or not like them. You can like big boobs or little boobs or full boobs, or I don't know what the opposite of full boobs are, because empty boobs sounds really weird. But like many things in life, boobs come in many different shapes and sizes, and it's okay to not want to honk every boob that you see. In fact, if you did, I would find that quite problematic. This to me is so innocent. This is close to good feminism, Derek. I'm not gonna lie, on this scale, boob OP is not being a boob, and I'm so here for it. You explore your identity, babe. You ask your questions. I think it's fine. It is kind of funny if you think about it, like that the idea of boobs are inherently hot. This isn't something I think often, but sometimes I'm like, why a boob? Why not like a weenus? Why has no one ever gone, oh my god, yeah, these things are so hot? I don't know what determined boobs to be something that is in any way hot, you know? It is weird to me, but what are you gonna do? I don't know. Good luck on your journey, good feminism, Derek. I wish you well. Wait, that's actually actually a good question. Why are boobs attractive? They are like meat sacks full of milk. They are weird. I'm laughing about the term meat sacks because aren't we just meat sacks? Like, by this definition, are we not meat sacks? And if we're meat sacks, does this mean that I am a meat sack with meat sacks? And they are not full of milk. That is definitely not how women work. That is bad women's anatomy right here. Very temporarily, they can be full of milk to serve their primary function of feeding our young. But most of the time, boobs are not filled with milk. That's like back in primary school when I used to think that plums were full of pee. It's funny. Every day is a school day. In fact, says the internet, they are sacks of yellow fat. Glorious. Thank you so much for that very wonderful and palatable insight. Definitely bad women's anatomy, but I'm kind of here for talking about how breasts aren't inherently sexual. So am I, babe. So am I. Well done. Well done, good feminism, Derek. You get a brownie. Women's periods. Is this a plot hole? Some of the funniest and most bizarre cases of bad women's anatomy that I see are from men writing women, which I know is like a subreddit of its own thing. I'm here for this canon. Let's read it. I noticed somewhere, says OP, in my manuscript, it is mentioned that a female main character needed to change underwear yesterday because it had been stained by period blood. Do we not normally change underwear? Or do you mean like they had to do an additional underwear change due to a leak? Because if it's a second, can relate. Very frustrating. Let's read on. However, in the on-screen events of the previous day, that main character acted normally and cheerfully without feeling pain or anything. Is that laughable? Will it make female readers go like, does this guy even know what being on a period is like? No woman can function normally during those days. This isn't quite good feminism, Derek. But again, I give you, maybe not quite brownie, but brownie points for asking, for figuring it out. Like, this is a breath of fresh air on bad women's anatomy, no? Like, I feel like these are people not understanding experience and trying to ask more questions to understand it. That's great. I'd much rather read this and have like healthy back and forth interaction about what a period feels like, rather than picking up OP's book and being like, oh no, this person thinks that because main character was on her period, her nipples shot straight off like lava coming out of a volcano. Like, good for you. Good for you, OP, for trying. I also love the idea and the sensitivity that OP here is like, I get it. Periods hurt. And the idea that no woman could ever function whilst on her period. And yet in society, we don't have something like period breaks. Some people do actually get really bad period pain. It's really common in things like PCOS and also endometriosis. And I believe such issues affect way more people than you would think. I think it's like 1 in 4 was the stat that I last saw. And even if you don't have PCOS or endo specifically, periods can hurt. Periods can be exhausting. Periods are a huge hormonal shift that occurs that, whether you're following like a predictable schedule or not, can come with a huge host of symptoms that even differ each time. I've more recently started having nausea associated with my period, which has been a very pleasant update. Thank you so much for that upgrade, body. But sometimes, lovely OP, we can act normal, and sometimes, can you believe it, even cheerfully, despite being on a period. This is adorable. This is actually quite sweet. Am I just being like particularly nice today? Have I lost my spicy side for this video? I mean, at least he's trying to understand, you know? I agree with you. I totally agree. Wah. God's timing is always perfect. Trust his delays. He's got you. He's got a plan. Have faith. I really hope this is bad women's anatomy. Mostly because I would feel very disturbed if somebody had planted something within me, but also knowing that they could somehow tend to it by reaching through, over. What is happening with the fallopian tube? I'm so confused. This connection that we've got going on, it's crazy. Law of attraction is such a real thing. Did you know, because I didn't know until like quite recently, that the fallopian tubes and the ovaries are not actually attached to each other. The little like eggs, when they go on their journey, they're like big hike, channeling their inner Bilbo Baggins. They have to jump, mate. They gotta go whee over to the fallopian tube. And sometimes they cannot make it, even if they are fertilized. And that's where we lead to things like ectopic pregnancies, which isn't the purpose of today's video, but actual women's anatomy or body anatomy. So there you go. Handles of the womb and vaginal diagram explained. I just find it's interesting. Yeah. It makes me feel some kind of way that this is being used, even metaphorically, to be like, oh, don't be sad. You're having pregnancy issues. Don't worry. This was meant for you. I don't know why. I do know why. It doesn't feel very nice. It's not something that you say to a friend, you know? Because the black and white fact is, if you are infertile for whatever reason, no amount of faith is going to be able to change that. If there's low probabilities, you can absolutely have hope, but I don't think that hope should include the idea of a plant growing from within. Also, oh my goodness, I really hope this is not how babies are made, because I cannot keep a plant alive to save my life. So my chances here would be very slim. So that's why they tell you to never stick a watermelon seed up there. Oh my goodness, is this why they say don't eat the apple pips? I guess Christian fallopian tubes are fused to the ovaries. This internal organs, never heard about them. I wish I could tell you what's going on here. I actually can't tell if this is photoshopped on a real person, a mannequin, or just somebody with a ginormous butt pad, because I could see the top part being the figure of even somebody that looks like me, you know, like this here feels fine, and then the pads would be like out here for this back photo. Is this what they're selling? For €17. Wow. That is a lot of material. That's a bargain. A bargain booty. Oh no, I feel like I've been doing Duolingo for most of my life and I cannot tell you what that says. Ordinaria la spedizione gratuita. Thanks. Thank you. Free. Feel like that last word is free. Wonderful international peaches if you know what this language is, or better yet, what this means in the correct language. Please let me know. This big padded booty has good reviews though. Look at that. Wow. 4.94 stars. It's bugging me that I can't see the other 7 photos. I need to know what this looks like from the front. Breast reductions go against God's plan. God's plan. What is it with God's plan today? A lot of people seem to have God's calendar. What's up with that? But oh my god, she has to carry these around just for men's pleasure? Shut up. Do you have any idea the knee and back problems that I get from being a 6'4", 240-pound giant? No, but women love me being big. Any excuse to write that, huh? I don't remove my shins, do I? Hang on, so this person is saying, hey, I am tall. As a person with height, I have knees and back problems, and because I have knees and back problems from being a straight standing human, women who also have knees and back problems, but also the addition of 2 huge weights strapped to the front of their chest, which I don't experience, means that I know what that's like. Sure, if boobs were an extension to the knee, like if they happened to grow between the shin and the knee joint, maybe I could understand this argument. If boobs grew from the head and like added to height and changed the function of the body that only made people taller instead of counterbalancing weight forward or backwards, I could understand this argument. And not that we really need to say this, but let's be real here. OP, boobs are not for your pleasure, babe. God's plan didn't make someone have big boobs so other people like you could stare at them. The longer I stare at this post, the more I keep trying to make sense before I come to the conclusion that no one's going to make sense of it, because it doesn't make sense. Because this is what stupid men sound like. Move on. I feel like the psychological pain of knowing you're passing an unfertilized egg has got to be worse than the physical pain. This is another period one I see. Ever thought about the fact that some women don't want to have children? Somebody suggested. And they've responded, yeah, I think that's very few women. Because apparently OP knows everything here and has polled every single woman and can tell you that it's very few women. Let's look it up. How many women want children 2024? Men are more likely than women to want kids, study says. Overall, 21% of childless women aged 18 to 34 recently polled says they don't ever want to be parents. 21%, 1 in 5, doesn't sound like few to me. Anyway, because sometimes there is no helping people, somebody's responded, lol, what about teenagers and women who are already mothers? This is so very true. I have to say, I don't think I've ever thought of like psychological pain of passing an unfertilized egg at all in terms of a period. Maybe when I first learned about it, when I first had my experience of period, I was hugely mistaken in thinking that the bits that I was seeing were parts of an egg, but that is not the case. The eggs are so tiny, microscopic. The bits that you do see in a period are lining, because the womb lining thickens to pad itself to get ready just in case of a baby. And then when it's like, oh wait, no, we don't have a passenger today, okay, remove the cushions, and then everything kind of goes. So as soon as I had that straightened out, I've never been like, oh, I need to mourn you. Also, if we were to do that, there would be so much to mourn. I'm not trying to trivialize mourning in any way. The reality is, if you have ovaries when you are born, you have millions and millions of eggs. Imagine having to feel this psychological pain millions and millions of times. Not only is it not feasible, it also doesn't make sense. It's unfertilized eggs. Parts of biological matter, they're so far from being a baby. That would be like mourning pee droplets every time you needed a wee. It just doesn't make sense. sense. It's a myth made up by women's. That's what somebody has to say. There's the bad women's anatomy we know and love. What are you saying is the myth? The fact that there's physical pain to a period? The psychological pain that this person has made up? Or the fact that some women don't want kids? I am so confused. But good on you for mansplaining the experiences of the women's. But to be fair, male fertility doesn't decline with age in the same way that female fertility does, which starts around the age of 30. Somebody's responded to say, it literally doesn't, please learn biology. To which someone else responded, the female fertility dropping off at 30 is from a paper on French peasants. Peasants? I was like, peasants? Peasants. Peasants. Hundreds of years ago. Women have babies into their 40s all the time. And here's the source, my OB, who also told me that she delivers babies to women in their 40s every day when I expressed worries about getting pregnant at 35. It took me about 2 months to conceive my child. This is adorable and very uplifting to hear, I'm sure, to a lot of people who are needing to go through IVF journeys or who are wanting to be parents at an older age. I too was absolutely very big on this myth. Myth? Hang on, whoa, we have a lot to unpack. Female fertility does have a more demanding clock than male fertility. It is a thing, but you're right, there's no big set timer on 30. Along with the X factor, just made everybody feel like you are expired at the age of 25 in terms of a career and at the age of 30 in terms of any kind of life goals. And anybody after 30 is just old, which is just so stupid. In fact, the whole idea that 30 is your midlife crisis phase is really silly. We only think that's the case because back in the day, life expectancy was so short, we weren't really seeing people live beyond sometimes 30, right? In which case 15 would have been your midlife crisis. But typically, 50, 60 was golden age. But now people live longer. The midlife is not 30. And so all of these old assumptions, it's just toxic. They don't belong in today's society. The reason that female fertility has this clock in the way that male fertility doesn't is because female fertility exists from the second that you are born. From the second that you are made, you are already made with a finite number of eggs. It's not an infinite number of eggs. All of the eggs that you'll ever possibly have are already in your body by the time that you are birthed. Which means that when you're starting with a bag of 100 Maltesers, of course, throughout your life, when you're doing things and the Maltesers are really fragile, you're just going to lose more Maltesers, right? It's just a thing. The older you get, cells die, things get knocked, your more Maltesers are going to roll away. It's how it works. It doesn't mean that sperm is invincible. If sperm were Maltesers would also go away. They are just as fragile. The difference is sperm is made on an ongoing basis. Unlike eggs, which we have in our body all of the time, the sperm that a person produces is new. I was going to say it's regenerative, but that is not the right scientific term. There is a term for it, and it's escaping my brain right now. And it's on that basis that people are like, oh, the female body clock. You better have your kids early. I've also been reading a lot about sperm and success rates, and the reality is, kind of oddly, in my opinion, biology, what were you thinking? The best sperm quality seems to be in the late teen phases, between 15 and 18. And really the issues that are associated, I do this because they're not actually known issues. The data is still so inconsistent. The research doesn't have any solid findings to say this old sperm as an isolated factor on its own has a huge health risk issue. But the timings of what they consider old sperm sometimes begins as early as 25 and really often from 35. Sperm is only really tested between people who are up to the age of 50 because that's in samples how old we see parents go up to. I know there are really one-off occasions where we hear about celebrities or the world record being beaten by the 90-year-old father, that sort of thing. But there is not enough research at all to be able to determine actually what a male fertility clock does at that older age. So there you go. I actually feel like that is probably something that a lot of people will not know. It's quite a nuanced bad women's anatomy. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Wah! Cis women generally don't have hair on their legs. If you know women who do, they are most likely trans or have some kind of hormone imbalance. I was going to say, look at my hairy legs. But the reality is I do have a hormone imbalance. I do have PCOS. And I'm also South Asian. But I guarantee you that even if I wasn't South Asian and I didn't have PCOS, I'd still have hairy legs. But go off Transvestigator. Go and sweep your brush and spread your bad women's anatomy all over the place. Just think about the kind of person you need to be. The audacity, the self-confidence that you must have, the entitlement to not only think something like this, but to then post it on the internet on purpose. Females don't even wash the inside of their vagina, so extended contact with a creature possessing a vagina is unbearable to me, let alone being in physical contact with one. If I had a female, I'm really glad that the sentence there is if, because I would not wish for you to be in a position of duty of care for any female. I would regularly cleanse in and around its vagina with alcohol. Oh my god, don't do that. This is very, very bad women's anatomy. This is not how women work. It's not how people work. Please do not not start cleansing your bodily orifices with alcohol. This makes as much sense to me as the grandpas who think that cologne was the best remedy to fix anything. No. My sister is a jogger. She's also hearing impaired and just got cochlear implants. One thing that surprised her the most with her new hearing status, her breasts don't make bouncing noises when she runs. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry that your sister's bubble was burst. Could you imagine? I would run significantly more than I do now if every time I got a... This is glorious. This is one of the best posts I've seen on this forum. Also, I'm so hyped for your sister for all of the new things that she gets to experience with her cochlear implants. I hope she's enjoying that. Two people very close to me are hard of hearing, one of which is going through the process of implants, and I'm so excited for her to experience life and absorb sound in a different way to how she currently does. I only hope that we have as wonderful an experience with revelations like this one. Can women operate weed whackers? When I see this, a weed whacker, just to confirm, is the American term for like a strimmer, right? That's what we call a strimmer. The things that you're like, you hold with one hand, you just like, and it goes, and it cuts the grass. Yes, okay, it's a whacker plate. I always get the names confused so much. A whacker plate is used in like bigger construction projects, which I probably should know nothing about. Silly woman. This makes it worse. Because at least with the whacker plate, I was like, oh, is this person coming from the idea that it would like shake up your insides? Why would a woman not be able to use a weed whacker? What? It's okay. I'm wearing my uterus supporting jockstrap today. It's the same thing with women not being able to run in the marathons. I wish I could interview people like that. Why are you anonymous? I know why you're anonymous, but please tell me what you were thinking. Why a woman would not be able to use a weed whacker? Sounds like an excuse to make a gullible partner do it himself. Maybe that's what's happened. Maybe there's some like ultra woman out there who's really hacked the game and she's like, I can't do it. I'm a woman. For everything she doesn't like, she's like, you want me to cook? Can't do it. I'm a woman. You want me to clean? Can't do it. Not part of God's plan. I checked his calendar. It says you're hoovering today. Could you imagine? You know, if that is going on, I respect it. I respect that. I'm not even gonna Mama Shaaba that moment. Breast size by country, and we have a graph. Whoa. Is this real? You know, when I see things like this, I'm like, but why? What was the purpose? Tell me why this is legitimate geography. Why do we need to know this information? Also, the more I look at this, the more I think it's not real. What do you mean AA to A, and then you've got an A to B, and a B, and a B to C, and a C, and a C to D? One, this is not how you do categories. Say for argument's sake, I'm an A, right? And I'm like ticking the box on the form that provides the data for this graph. Do I tick AA to A, or A to B? Because as an A, I'd fall into all of these categories. Two, why does this only go up to a D? Boobs are more varied than a D, even in like a normal shop stock range. And three, what are these colors? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Are you telling me that the AA and the AA to A should be at the end? In which case, why are they not? Like, why are they ordered in a way that's like medium purple, light purple, dark purple? And why is it that B and C and C and C and D, the colors look exactly the same to me? It might just be my screen, but like, I call bullshit. I'm sorry, I call bullshit on this graph. But I'll humor you. Who has the bigger boobs, apparently? Why are some of these countries just white? It looks like a third of the world just has no boobs at all. No boobs. White, no boobs. Now compare that to obesity rates, someone has said. Of course, because everybody knows that food is stored in the boobs. Big boobs don't mean obesity, FYI. Thank you, tigers, for providing the sense that many men cannot seem to grasp. Why stop at D? That's ridiculous. Coming from Bangladesh, I can assure you that AA is not the average cup size back home. Our women tend to be quite busty naturally. I'd assume at least a UK double D or an E on average. This whole chart looks like a load of BS. My radar was going off too. Honey, this map is wildly inaccurate. Exactly the kind of thing we expect to see here on Bad Women's Anatomy. ADHD only affects men. Don't diagnose yourself from TikTok. You know what? I agree. We shouldn't diagnose ourselves from TikTok. I was making a joke about that I agree thing. Of course, ADHD doesn't only affect men. If ADHD does only affect men, what do I have? What am I? What am I? Why I thought I had big boobs. I got big boobs, but my mum doesn't, at least not naturally. Not understanding how genetic works, I had a theory that it was because I became a vegetarian at a young age, and it must have been from all the estrogen in soy and tofu. I tell people this is where my boobs came from. Tofu! Turns out the big boobs run in my dad's family, but I just never really put that together. Oh dear. I'm loving the fact that this deep dive in Bad Women's Anatomy has more story times coming from women. I feel like everyone's just so tired to listen to stupid men. They've just become irrelevant now, and it's about reclaiming fun learning moments from women themselves. When did everyone start saying vulva? I swear it's a new occurrence. I really hope this person is not saying that a vulva is a new occurrence. To be fair, it is confusing as to why vagina has been the term, when that really does just describe the inside. Probably because it describes the inside. It's like the naughtier things that people want to say on the playground. But you know what, babe? It's not a bad thing. If you don't know the difference, it's okay. If you don't know what a vulva is, it's okay. If you feel like this is a slang term being made up by the Gen Zs, it's okay. Just pop onto Google. Give yourself a quick little moment of self-love, self-growth, because we love to see a learning moment. Google vulva diagram and your mind will be blown. This is the kind of post that makes me decide I've had enough Reddit for the day. Fair enough. You know what? I feel like I've had enough time here on Bad Women's Anatomy. Hey look, we survived. This was okay, right? I feel like it wasn't so bad. Get your gorgeous little peach fuzz, body hair, leg hair, regardless of gender, downstairs in the comment section and tell me what God's plan has in store for you today. Wrong answers only, please. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I'll see you next time with another video. Be kind and have a great day. Bye!